It's remarkable how easily life can unravel, how your sense of trust and security can crumble in a single, wrenching revelation. I remember when I first met Paige back when we were sophomores in college, drifting through a crowded student union on a crisp autumn afternoon. She was sitting by the big picture window, sunlight catching in her dark hair. I don't recall our first words exactly, but I remember her smile, warm, kind, and somehow familiar. It felt like coming home. We became friends quickly. We were part of the same study group, shared a love for late night diner runs and independent films, and over time that friendship grew into something deeper and more profound. Even then, we were honest with each other about our values. I was vocal about my ambivalence toward having children. It wasn't that I disliked kids, I just never felt a particular urge to become a father. I wanted to focus on my career, find my place in the world before taking on the enormous responsibility of guiding another human life. Paige understood, or at least she seemed to. She was always more open to the idea of motherhood, but at that time, we were young, the concept of starting a family far off on the horizon. We loved each other enough that these differences seemed manageable, like something we'd figure out later. We married after a few more years together. By then, we'd weathered some challenges: graduations, job searches, moving across the country for my career. Paige had always been my rock. When I fell into a deep depression after failing my first major professional exam, she was there, patiently helping me piece my confidence back together. When her father passed away unexpectedly, I held her through long nights of quiet sobbing. We were partners in every sense, best friends who had chosen to become family. But love is not a static thing. It evolves, bends, sometimes breaks under the weight of life's pressures. About 3 years into our marriage, Paige became pregnant. She told me it was a freak accident, birth control failure, a random mishap. I won't lie, I panicked at first. I felt unprepared, afraid that my old reservations about fatherhood would overshadow my happiness. But I stood by her because I loved her, and I knew I'd step up if it meant supporting her and our future child. Paige gave birth to twin baby girls, and from the moment I held them in my arms, my heart expanded in ways I never thought possible. They became the center of my universe, and all my old fears about parenthood receded in the face of their soft coos, tiny hands, and innocent gazes. Watching them grow into curious, joyful toddlers reminded me daily that some surprises in life can lead to unexpected blessings. Paige decided to become a stay-at-home mother, a choice I respected wholeheartedly. I worked harder at my job, determined to give my family a comfortable life. The years rolled on. Our twins turned from wobbly toddlers into energetic, bright children. Paige and I navigated the usual stresses of married life with kids: the endless laundry, the chaotic school mornings, the careful budgeting. Yet underneath it all, we were a team and I felt secure. This past year, though, something felt off. Paige became pregnant again, but this time it was intentional. She never said so in so many words, but I sensed her desire. As we inched closer to this new reality, Paige began pulling away from me emotionally. There was a heaviness in her eyes whenever I tried to talk to her. She insisted she was fine, redirecting my questions by changing the subject to our daughters. I tried to be the best husband possible, offering help, taking on extra chores, encouraging her to rest. Yet she remained distant and tense, as if carrying a secret too heavy to keep hidden. One evening, when our daughters were at my sister's place for sleepover, I came home to find Paige sobbing, slumped over the bed. My heart clenched at the sight. I rushed to her side, trying to comfort her, to understand what was wrong. "I'm a terrible person," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I'm garbage. I'm so sorry." I tried to calm her down, telling her that no matter what, we'd face it together. Eventually, through choked breaths, she confessed the truth. She had tampered with my condoms when we conceived the twins. I poked holes in them, she admitted, her voice cracking under the weight of her own words. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I sat there, feeling my blood run cold. Paige had betrayed me in one of the most intimate and profound ways possible. She took away my choice, manipulated my future. It was a deliberate act. I struggled to wrap my mind around it, even as she cried, saying she was sorry and that she knew it was unforgivable. There was no justification offered, no logical explanation, just overwhelming guilt and shame. For the next few nights, I slept in the guest room. I couldn't bear to share the same bed with her, not after knowing what she'd done. Paige stayed in our bedroom, refusing to come out except to use the bathroom. She didn't eat unless I brought her food. She looked hollowed out by her own remorse. As angry as I was, I couldn't help but still love her. She was my best friend once. We'd built a family together. How could she do something so cruel, and yet, how could I simply cast her aside while she was pregnant with our third child? Yes, she was pregnant again, and intentionally so. Had she tampered with condoms again this time? The question seared my mind, but she insisted this pregnancy was intentional on both sides, just not well communicated. I tried to remember all our recent conversations about the future. Had I ever explicitly agreed to another child? Or did I just remain non-committal, letting her steer the ship? I wasn't sure anymore. Trust had become slippery and fragile. I contacted a therapist, set up sessions for both of us, and for myself individually. The therapist encouraged me to express my feelings honestly, to consider what I wanted long term. Did I want to stay in this marriage or walk away? The complication was the children. I loved my girls more than life. Even the baby on the way, I couldn't imagine not being part of their life. Divorce could mean splitting time, losing precious moments. Yet staying would mean living with a betrayal I might never forgive. We're not fully healed, but we're speaking kindly at the dinner table, planning a small vacation next spring after the baby is born. Paige and I decided we'd try a short weekend trip to a cabin a few hours away, just the family, to reconnect in a neutral setting. Part of me is hopeful that we can rediscover some of the old magic, or at least form a new, honest bond as co-parents and spouses. I'm still not certain what our future holds, but I can see a path forward, one step at a time. Paige is trying to earn back my trust by respecting my new boundaries. She's making plans to eventually find part-time work after the baby is old enough. As for me, I'm working on letting go of my anger, at least enough to see her as a flawed human being who made a terrible mistake, not a monstrous villain. I'm working on appreciating the moments of kindness she shows now, the gentle jokes she cracks to break tension, the way she carefully packs our daughter's lunches in the morning. I'm trying to remember that I married her for a reason, that we shared over a decade of good memories before all this chaos.